Hi and welcome everyone to our 24th episode of The Little Inside. My name is surprisingly still Tobi, and this week we're going to have a look at stillness that exists within movement. So let's get started right after the intro. Stillness within movement. That sounds incredibly mystical and esoteric and special. And in fact, it is actually something that's quite special. So why not have a look at it during this Little Insights episode? Stillness is something that you can find within yourself. On the external level, stillness is, I think, something that is very, very difficult to be found. Now, if we're talking about space, for example, even there, scientists there will say that space is something that is continuously expanding or contracting, something like that. I'm not too sure about it. I actually have no idea. I don't know. But it looks like in this material world, within everything that is established or made out of atoms, it's very hard to find like genuine stillness. Because everything is subject to change, it's a process. There's all the material phenomena that we have, everything that's composed out of atoms, it is something that is subject to change. Your body is constantly pumping, it's alive, it's always buzzing, vibrating, changing. It's been changing since you were born, from the moment when the sperm met the egg, then gave rise to the body, and cells were splitting up, and the body was growing and growing, and so now the body is the way it is, and it's still kind of changing with every second, with every inhalation and exhalation. There's always some process going on. So within the external world, the material world, it's very hard to find anything that is actually still. How about the mind? Well, I would consider the mind to be made of two parts. One part is the conditioned mind, and one part you can call the unconditioned mind. The conditioned mind is certainly not still. And you know it from your own experience. If you're looking at your own mental experience, there's a whole lot of change constantly, different emotions, thoughts, and whatever you see, hear, or taste always gives immediately rise to an internal mental experience as well. So that kind of conditioned mind also is very hard to find any stillness in it. You can, if you're practicing, for example, samatha meditation to calm the mind, you can actually train the mind to stay still for quite some time. It's a very blissful, very nice experience. And this is part of our meditation exercise, but also that cannot be maintained. You cannot constantly keep the mind in that kind of frozen state. Even though you can temporarily achieve it, you cannot achieve it in a lasting way. So there is another kind of dimension. You could say a dimension that is not subject to conditioning, to the process of conditioning. And that is where we can find stillness. But to keep it a bit more simple, more down to earth, more practical, let's just get started by finding stillness within this moment as you are listening to this video. When you are listening to my voice, can you actually also pay attention to the way your mind moves right now? As I'm talking with you, can you observe your own mind? So I will just continue to talk about the subject of stillness within movement while you are actually not listening directly to my words, but you're paying part of your attention is within yourself, looking at the way your own mind is actually listening. And you will find maybe that there is this sense of inner centeredness or stillness, just this very simple listening experience right now. So that is going towards this unconditioned or deeper sense of stillness that is within each one of us. Now, I would like you to explore that a bit further. You can take that out into your day-to-day life and you can experiment with it. For example, you can sit in a busy location, like a shopping mall or something, and part of your attention stays within your center, within your heart, you can say. Not physically focusing on your heart, but just noticing whether your center, as you're listening to all the sounds, is quiet or if it is engaged in chattering also, making noises also. For me, for example, right now the exercise would be, while I'm talking, while I'm recording this video, to notice that my mind is completely quiet. It's kind of surprising each time for me. It's also something that I've just discovered recently, really, that the mind, while I'm talking, is staying completely quiet. There is a dimension within myself that is totally unshakable, and I see that while I talk, sometimes, not always. And so you can access this kind of dimension too. It just needs a little bit of attention to come back to yourself while you are experiencing this world. And then you can translate this inner stillness, or you can not translate it, but you can bring it into your day-to-day life. For example, when you're walking in the park, or you're in that busy shopping mall, sitting in a coffee shop, talking with someone, listening to them deeply, always having a little bit of attention directed towards yourself and towards the experience of stillness that is in your being, that you can say actually is your being. It's this unshakable quietude that is within. Very often when we're alone in our room, let's say, and just have some time to think about stuff, then that stillness goes far, far away. As soon as we are lost in our thoughts each time, when that happens, we are very far away from that inner stillness. But each time you become aware of the silence that happens in between thoughts, and that also is underlying, that is kind of an undercurrent to all the experiences that you have with your senses, like hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, feeling in your body, or thinking. There's always this underlying, spacious sense of quietude that is there too. So in order to attain or access that kind of inner stillness that I'm talking about, you do not have to get out your samurai sword and kill all the noise inside of yourself and around you and kind of lock yourself up in a soundproof room so you're not disturbed by the noisy neighbors and you can do your meditation properly. But once you can access or sense intuitively that silence in your being, you can bring it anywhere, and it's fun to play with that and actually test it out. It's a very easy and direct way to access stillness that happens within the movement of everyday life, and that's what I refer to actually when I'm talking about movement. So whether you're walking or talking with someone, whether you are just sitting around in a noisy area, it's all based for practice. It all should be something that is pointing back to your most original sense of presence, of just being open and spacious right now, right here, and to wake up to that fact. Oh, I'm right here. Yes, actually I'm here. I'm still breathing. I'm feeling my body. I'm alive. And deep down inside of myself, it's very quiet. Almost like when you're diving down into a swimming pool. The more you go down, the more kind of quiet it feels like. It might be quite alive still down there. You might hear many things, but it kind of feels it. It's this sense of quietude of diving down into yourself. Now this is something very intuitive. Maybe only some of you will get this this kind of experience as you're listening to me, or as you are sitting around somewhere the next time, to just sense that there's also something that is completely quiet. No matter how much noise there is that's going on, no matter how interesting the topic is, you can find and access that quiet part of your being that's already there. So you don't have to fight away all the noise. All we need to do is shift our attention over from the noise of being lost in the noise, being lost in the experiential world, back to ourselves, to your center. And if you're one of those people who are watching this video who actually gets that while you're listening to me right now, you feel that yourself, inside of your center, there's some quietude there. Bring it into your practice and see what it does. When you're sitting in the bus, sitting in the car, waiting at the traffic light, sensing the silence, listening to the silence that's already there. So this is how you bring stillness into movement. So this would complete that episode. It's only a tiny small episode because I'm not really qualified to go very deep into detail about this kind of topic, about stillness within movement. Is so vast. It's such a vast topic. There's so many physical aspects to it. There is mental, emotional aspects to it, and so forth. So now this is not only just a little idea to play with in your everyday life and to have some fun with, and to discover the practice of meditation, discover how it is like to kind of look at yourself and experiencing yourself from a different viewpoint or angle. And I hope this video helped inspire this kind of, I would say, explorer's attitude in you, and then see what you can find within yourself. Okay? So, as always, if you have any questions or comments, just write them down in the comment section below, or let me know by email. I'm always happy to receive reports from people who have success with these little practices or enjoying them in some way, or maybe you want to share like something that happened while you were trying this. Would be surely very uplifting and motivating for all of us. So I hope you have a great next week, and I'm looking forward to see you next Wednesday. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.